The sky seemed normal that day. The day began like any other for Keanu Reeves. He was scheduled to leave Los Angeles for a quiet retreat in the mountains of Alaska. The private jet, always ready before dawn, waited at a small, private airstrip just outside the city. The man who had flown him across continents and countries for the past 3 years, his trusted pilot, Elliott Cain, stood near the plane's open stairs, coffee in hand, calm and smiling like always. Elliott was not just a pilot. He was a man of few words. But his actions had earned Keanu's quiet trust. He never drank, never raised his voice, and never once asked for favors. He kept to himself but always showed up when needed. Keanu once told a friend, "He flies like he's protecting something sacred." And that was true. Elliott always flew like someone carrying the weight of more than just fuel and passengers. But on that morning, something was off. Not with the sky, not with the weather, but with the silence. The usual quiet between the two men had changed. There was a stillness in Elliott's face. His eyes, usually steady and focused, looked far away. He barely made eye contact when Keanu approached. "Everything okay?" Keanu asked, his voice low. Elliott nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well." Keanu didn't push. He wasn't the type to pry. But deep down, something in his gut told him this flight wouldn't be like the others. 20 minutes later, the jet lifted into the sky, engines humming smooth and soft. Keanu leaned back in his seat, reading a letter his sister had written him the night before. She had just come out of surgery. In the letter, she thanked him for always being there, for keeping things quiet, for not telling the world what she was going through. Keanu folded it gently and stared out the window. Clouds passed like slow thoughts. Then came the voice, "Sir, we're being asked to land in Seattle. Immediate instructions from ATC." Keanu blinked. "Is it weather?" "No, sir, it's not weather." The jet banked left. Keanu felt his stomach turn, not from the flight, but from the way Elliott had said those words. Something wasn't right. They landed smoothly at a private runway outside Seattle-Tacoma Airport. But before the engines even cooled, 3 police vehicles rushed across the tarmac. Officers in plain clothes and uniforms stepped out. One walked directly toward the cockpit. Elliott stepped down from the plane slowly, hands visible. The moment shocked Keanu. The officer didn't shout. He didn't need to. "Elliott Cain, you are under arrest for obstruction of justice and concealment of evidence in an ongoing federal investigation." Keanu stepped out of the jet. "What's going on?" The lead officer turned to him. "Mr. Reeves, your safety is not at risk, but we can't say more right now. You'll be contacted shortly." Elliott didn't resist. Not a word, not a look back. And just like that, Keanu's most trusted pilot was taken away in silence. But it wasn't over. An officer approached him and said something that stayed with him for days. "We found a storage unit, registered under a fake name. It's connected to your flights. We believe you should see what's inside." Keanu felt like the world tilted. Storage unit. The officer handed him a card with an address in Tacoma and simply said, "We suggest you don't go alone." For the rest of the day, Keanu sat in a quiet hotel room staring at that address. Outside, the city moved like it always did. People walked their dogs. Taxis rushed by. But inside, everything felt unreal. He kept asking himself, who was Elliott really? What had he been hiding? The next morning, Keanu made a decision. He would go, but not with a team of lawyers, not with the press. He called someone he hadn't spoken to in for years, Detective Ana Mendez. She picked up on the third ring. "Keanu, I need your help. It's about someone I trusted." Ana had helped him once before quietly when a business partner had tried to forge documents in his name. She never asked for publicity or money, just the truth. She agreed to meet him near the storage facility without hesitation. When they arrived, the manager unlocked Unit 117 with shaking hands. "You're gonna want to see this," he whispered. Keanu stepped inside. It wasn't what he expected. No weapons, no drugs, no cash. Just dozens of carefully sealed boxes, shelves, papers. And one item that made Keanu stop breathing. A child's drawing, folded, water-stained. A plane, the sun, and 2 stick figures. One had the label "Me," the other said "Uncle Eli." Anna picked it up. This isn't just a storage unit. It's a map. A map to what? Keanu whispered that she turned slowly. To who Elliott really is. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was loud, full of shadows, and it was only the beginning. Asterisk the letters he never sent. Keanu stood at the entrance of storage unit 117. The cold air inside brushing past his skin like a whisper. Dust floated in the golden sunlight from a high window, settling gently on the tops of the old boxes, like memories no one dared to touch. His hands hovered over one of the sealed crates. Anna, standing beside him, watched closely but said nothing. There was a quiet understanding between them. Whatever they were about to uncover wasn't going to be simple. Keanu opened the first box. Inside, he found stacks of manila envelopes, each one labeled with a year, from as far back as 1998. They weren't random. Each envelope contained letters, some typed, some handwritten, all addressed to different names, most of them children. Anna read one out loud. Dear Maya, I'm sorry I missed your birthday again. The stars looked brighter last night, and I imagined you under them. I hope you smiled. Love. Uncle Eli. Keanu frowned. Who's Maya? Anna didn't answer right away. Instead, she pulled out her phone and quietly began looking up some of the names written on the envelopes. Keanu opened another box. This one held photos. Grainy, low-resolution pictures, clearly taken from a distance. Parks, schools, playgrounds. Some had kids playing. Others showed empty benches or backpacks left unattended. One photo made Keanu's hands freeze. It was of a young girl, maybe 10, standing next to a welcome home banner outside a foster care facility in Montana, written on the back. In careful penmanship, she made it. I stayed out of sight. Why was he watching kids? Keanu asked, a knot forming in his chest. This doesn't make sense. Anna looked up. Maybe he wasn't watching them. Maybe he was protecting them. From what? Anna pulled out a folder from the bottom of a crate. It was thicker than the others. Inside, she found printed emails, clippings, and a worn notebook. She flipped through the pages quickly and then stopped. Here, listen to this. She read slowly. July 2nd, 2003. The man in the gray van was there again. Same place, same time. Different kid, different day. I reported it. They didn't believe me. They never do. So I'll keep watching. Keanu stepped back, his heart pounding. He was following a predator. Anna nodded. Maybe more than one. These letters, these photos, the reports. This is bigger than one person. This is a record. A record of what? Anna looked up. Of a man who didn't trust the system, so he built his own. Keanu sat down on an old milk crate in the corner. His mind raced. Elliott, Cain, his pilot, his calm, reserved, almost invisible friend, had been secretly documenting suspected abuse cases across the country and storing everything here in silence. He remembered once, a year ago, when their flight to Colorado had been delayed by 6 hours. Elliott had said he needed to take care of something. Now Keanu wondered, had he used those hours to visit one of these children, to deliver money, to warn someone? They spent the rest of the day going through the rest of the boxes. Anna found a flash drive labeled Eyes Open 2015 to 2020. She plugged it into her laptop. There were folders inside, sorted by city. Each folder contained surveillance videos, timestamps, and voice memos. Most were blurry or hard to hear, but some were clear enough that a voice memo caught their attention. If anything happens to me, this isn't about me. This is about them, the kids, the ones no one sees, the ones who disappear and never make headlines. If I vanish, don't look for my body. Look at what I left behind. Look at who I was tracking. Keanu stared at the screen. This wasn't just a storage unit, it was a case. Anna looked at him carefully. We need to take this to someone we trust. Someone high enough to not bury it. Someone who actually cares. Who? Keanu asked. She hesitated. You know General Thompson. Keanu nodded. Yeah. We met during a veteran fundraiser last year. His daughter is a prosecutor. We start there. Anna said, but we have to move fast. If Elliott's arrest was connected to this, someone knew he was getting close. Just then, Anna's phone rang. She answered, and her face changed. When she hung up, she said, Elliott's not in jail anymore. Keanu stood. What do you mean? He's missing. The transport van was rerouted. The officers assigned to him gone. No trace. A chill ran through the air like a shadow. You think they're silencing him? Keanu asked. Anna nodded slowly. Or using him to lead them to this. Keanu glanced around the storage unit. Then we can't stay here, they hack what they could, photos, letters, the drive, the notebook, and locked the unit behind them. Keanu left a note taped inside the door. If you come here looking for him, look closer at what he left. You'll find the truth in the quiet. That night, they drove in silence. Keanu stared at the stars above, the same stars Elliott had written about in his letters to the children. He thought about the way Elliott used to touch the plane's dashboard before every flight, like a prayer. How he always looked back once before locking the door. How he once told Keanu, flying is easy, landing is harder. It's about how you come down. And now Keanu wondered, was Elliott falling? Or was he flying one last time, in a way no one could see? He didn't have answers yet. But one thing was certain. This wasn't over. This was just the start of a deeper flight. The man behind the shadowed motel room was quiet except for the hum of the heater. Keanu sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the flash drive in his hand. Ana Mendez sat across from him, typing furiously on her laptop. The files they had uncovered from the storage unit were now spread across two open suitcases and a small table, evidence of a hidden life, a life Elliott Cain never spoke of. He didn't do this for recognition, Ana said without looking up. He did this because no one else would. Keanu leaned forward. We have to find him. Ana stopped typing. I know. But we also have to figure out who made him disappear. They didn't sleep that night. They took shifts going through the folders. Ana studied the video files, while Keanu read through the notebook Elliott had kept over the years. One page caught Keanu's attention, written in Elliott's clean, simple handwriting. I am not a hero. I am a witness. And if I go missing, someone out there is responsible for 37 children who should have been safe. Keanu closed the notebook and stood. We need help, real help. Ana nodded. You said General Thompson's daughter is a prosecutor, right? Keanu pulled out his phone. Her name's Rachel Thompson. Last I heard, she was working on child protection cases in D.C. Ana looked at him. She's our next stop. The next morning, they boarded a commercial flight to Washington, D.C. Keanu wore a hoodie and sunglasses. No one recognized him. Ana carried all the files in a secure case. No checked bags, no risk. They met Rachel Thompson in a small cafe near Capitol Hill. She arrived in a simple suit, her hair tied back, her face serious but kind. I wasn't expecting this, she said, shaking Keanu's hand. You said it was urgent. Keanu handed her a photo. It showed a young girl standing at a playground gate, looking behind her. Behind the gate, half hidden in shadow, was Elliott. Rachel studied the image. Who is he? My pilot, Keanu said. He's missing, and he might be the only reason that girl is still alive. Rachel listened as Ana laid out the entire story. The storage unit, the letters, the files, the flash drive. After 20 minutes, Rachel leaned back and rubbed her temple. This is enough to build a case, but you're saying the person who gathered all this is gone? Keanu nodded. They arrested him. Then he disappeared. And we don't think it was by accident. Rachel took a breath. I'll help, but we need to do this quietly. If someone inside the system buried this once, they'll try again. Ana leaned forward. We think Elliott was tracking a group, maybe even a network. Not just predators, but people protecting them, funding them. Rachel went still. That would explain the missing files from last year's Baltimore case. We had evidence go dark. Just vanished. Keanu clenched his jaw. Then we need to bring it to light. That night, Rachel introduced them to a man named Elias Crossan, ex-data analyst turned whistleblower. He met them in a parking garage under a bookstore. Tall, quiet, with tired eyes, he greeted Keanu with a simple nod. Heard you've been flying with a ghost, he said. Keanu raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Elias opened a file on his tablet. Elliott Cain, former military, served in classified rescue ops during the Gulf War, disappeared from records in 2004, turns up again as a private pilot, No trace of what happened in between. Anna stepped forward. Was he working undercover? Maybe, Elias said, but not for the government. My guess, he was burned, saw something, maybe tried to stop something. So he went dark. Elias showed them a photo, black and white, low quality, taken from a satellite. It showed a compound in the mountains of Montana. No roads, no phone lines, just fences and a hidden building. Elliott marked this in one of his files, Elias said. He went there twice. Both times, the files went quiet afterward. Keanu stared at the image. What's inside? Elias shook his head. No one knows, but we traced a supply drone that lands there every 3 weeks, paid for by a fake company that's been linked to shell charities. Rachel whispered, that's where he is, or where they took him. We can't storm it, Anna said. Not without a warrant, not without real proof. Keanu looked at the flash drive. Then we make it public. We show the world what Elliott found. Rachel frowned. If we do that, we risk exposing the children he tried to protect. We have to be smart. Keanu stood. Then we go there, quietly, just us. If he's alive, we bring him back. If he's not, he didn't finish the sentence. But they all understood what he meant. They spent the next 2 days preparing. Elias hacked into the drone's next delivery schedule. Anna secured a private flight path. Rachel pulled strings to delay any possible law enforcement blockades. And Keanu? He studied every note, every map Elliott had drawn. And one night, as he sat alone in a quiet hotel room, he found a letter. It wasn't addressed to a child. It was addressed to him. Keanu, I never told you who I was because I didn't want you to carry my ghosts. But now I think maybe you were meant to. Not because you're famous. Not because the world listens to you. But because you care when no one's watching. I saw that in you. The way you look at people. The way you treat strangers. You carry sadness. Like armor. But you still show up. I respected that. If you're reading this, I probably didn't make it. But that's okay. Just promise me one thing. Don't let them go unseen. Keanu folded the letter slowly, his throat tight. Outside the window, the city lights flickered. But inside, something had lit a fire that wouldn't go out. He wouldn't let this end in silence. They were going to find Elliott, and they were going to finish what he started. The compound in the mountains of Montana looked peaceful from above. Snow dusted the treetops like powdered sugar, and the valleys below stretched wide and silent. But for Keanu, Anna, Rachel, and Elias, peace was the last thing on their minds. They were flying in a small chartered plane, low and fast, guided by Elias's calculations. The compound Elliott had marked wasn't on any official maps. No public roads led to it. No one talked about it in town. Even satellite images blurred out the area sometimes, as if someone had paid for the silence. We'll land 10 miles out, Elias said over the headset. Then hiking. No cell signals, no backup. Keanu nodded. Just us. They touched down near a frozen lake and set out on foot. The wind was sharp, biting at their faces. Trees surrounded them on all sides, like sentinels keeping secrets. No one spoke much. The only sounds were boots crunching snow and the wind whistling through the branches. After 3 hours of hiking, they saw it. The compound stood hidden in a bowl-shaped valley. Metal fencing wrapped around it. 2 watchtowers stood at the corners, unmanned for now. It looked like a research facility from a distance, but Elliott's notes suggested otherwise. Anna crouched behind a tree. No guards, no dogs. Either they're hiding, or they think no one will come this far. Rachel scanned the building with binoculars. 2 floors, small windows, cameras on the north side. No activity. Elias pulled out a remote. I built a jammer. We've got 20 minutes to get in before they realize we've killed their signal. Keanu took a deep breath. Let's go. They slipped through a weak section of fence and moved toward a side entrance. Elias picked the lock in seconds, and they stepped inside. The hallway smelled of metal and bleach. Overhead lights flickered. They moved fast, quiet, through corridors lined with unmarked doors. Anna found a control room. Inside were monitors, showing live feeds of empty rooms. But one caught Keanu's eye. That's him, he said. On the screen, Elliott Cain sat alone in a small concrete cell. His face was bruised, his head lowered. Anna traced the hallway from the map. He's in the east wing, basement level. They ran. Every corner felt like a trap, but no alarms sounded. No one stopped them. It was as if the building had been abandoned except for Elliott. When they reached his door, Keanu stepped forward. "Elliott, it's me." The man raised his head slowly. Even with the bruises, his eyes were steady. "Keanu," he whispered, "you shouldn't have come." Anna opened the lock. Elliott stumbled out, weak but still walking. "They found my files," he said. "They knew what I was doing. They tried to bury it all." "We've got the files," Keanu said. "We've got proof. You didn't fail." Elliott shook his head. "It's not just files. They moved the children. I was close to finding the last one. A girl named Emily. She's only 9. She disappeared last month. I think she's still here. Somewhere." A silence fell over them. No one expected this. Rachel looked around. "We can't leave without her." Keanu gripped Elliott's shoulder. "Can you walk?" "I'll run," Elliott said. They followed the narrow corridors deeper into the compound. Elias checked door after door, all empty, and then, near the south wing, they found a locked vault door. Anna knelt down. "This isn't just a door. This is hiding something." Elias hacked into the keypad. After a few tense seconds, the light turned green. Inside was a small room, dimly lit, and in the far corner, a girl sat on a cot, hugging a worn teddy bear. Her hair was tangled, her face pale, but she looked up when the door opened. She didn't scream. She just stared. Keanu stepped in slowly. "Emily." She nodded, barely. "You're safe now," he said gently. "We're going to take you home." Emily stood, silent, and walked toward him. They wrapped her in a blanket and left the room. No one tried to stop them. As they reached the edge of the compound, Elliott spoke. "They abandoned it, cleared out, but not because they were done, because they're moving." "Moving where?" Anna asked. "I don't know," Elliott said, "but they'll start again, unless we stop them." Back in Washington, Rachel arranged for Emily's safe return to a trusted foster home. Anna gave the flash drive and evidence to a federal judge she had worked with in the past. The man listened carefully, read the files, and made a call. Within hours, an investigation was launched. Agents raided satellite offices connected to the fake charity Elliott had been tracking. Arrests were made, files recovered. But it wasn't over. Keanu sat with Elliott on a bench outside the courthouse. "You saved her," he said. Elliott looked tired. "You did." "No," Keanu said softly. "You gave your life to this. You carried it alone. You shouldn't have had to." Elliott stared ahead. "I thought if I stayed quiet, they wouldn't notice me, but they did. And if you hadn't, come, you're not alone anymore," Keanu said. And for the first time, Elliott smiled. Not the polite kind, the real kind. A week later, they held a press conference. Rachel stood in front of the cameras. She didn't name names. She didn't show children's faces, but she told the world what they had found. How one man's quiet records had brought down a secret chain of corruption and child endangerment. Keanu stood beside her. When a reporter asked him why he got involved, he said, "Because some people don't have a voice, and someone has to speak when they can't." But even then, they knew the story wasn't finished, because evil doesn't end with a press conference. It hides and waits. But now, they were watching. And they weren't alone. Asterisk faces in the smoky. A soft fog hung over Washington that morning, quiet and heavy. Keanu walked the steps of the courthouse with Elliott by his side, both moving slowly, cautiously. The air carried the weight of what they had done, exposing the hidden network, rescuing Emily, and shining a light on the crimes no one wanted to see. But something felt off. News vans were parked across the street. Reporters stood ready with microphones and cameras. A few had signs. Some thanked Elliott. Some showed pictures of missing children. One woman held a framed photo of her son, missing since 2009. She didn't say a word, just nodded at Elliott with tearful eyes. Inside the building, the atmosphere had changed. Rachel met them with a tight expression. "We've got a problem," she said. Keanu felt the tension instantly. "What is it?" Someone inside leaked part of the story. The parts we agreed to keep sealed for the children's protection. Names, locations, it's out. Elliott closed his eyes. They're pushing back. Hard, Rachel said. And they're not just pushing in court. They've hired private security firms, media manipulators, even tried to pay off a judge. How do we fight that? Keanu asked. Rachel looked at him. We don't fight it with noise. We fight it with truth. But we need something stronger. Something that can't be twisted. Anna stepped forward, holding up a folder. We found something. Something buried in the files. A name that keeps showing up. Whose? Keanu asked. Senator Dean Corwin, she said quietly. He's been funding one of the fake charities through offshore accounts. But that's not all. She opened the folder and laid out several documents. Wire transfers, photos of private meetings, even a letter handwritten between Corwin and a now convicted trafficker. He's not just aware, Anna said. He's involved. Keanu stared at the papers. He's the one protecting them, Rachel nodded. And we can't just expose him in the media. We need a courtroom. But Elliott shook his head. They'll block it, stall it. We need leverage. Keanu stepped forward. Then we bring the victims, the survivors. If they speak publicly, it changes everything. They'll be targeted, Rachel warned. They'll need protection. Keanu turned to Elliott. You said 37 children, right? Elliott nodded. Spread across 15 years. Some went on to live normal lives. Some disappeared again. A few might still want to speak. Keanu picked up the photo of the girl from the playground, the one with the welcome home sign. Let's find them, he said. Let's ask if they wanted to help stop this. The next few weeks were full of quiet journeys. Keanu, Elliott, Anna, and Rachel traveled across the country: Montana, Arizona, Ohio, Georgia. They found 9 survivors who were willing to talk. Not all were ready to go public, but each one gave their testimony. Some spoke through tears. Some stared into the camera with cold, steady anger. One girl, now 21, had a scar along her neck. Her name was Jessica. She said softly, "No one ever believed me when I was 9, but maybe now they will." Their stories were recorded, in private, encrypted, stored in a secure digital vault with Elias watching over the data. And then came the moment they knew was coming. The threats. First, a letter slid under Rachel's office door. No signature. Just 2 words. Stop now. Then, Elliott's car was tampered with. The brakes failed on a hill. But he survived with only a shoulder injury. Anna received a call with no voice. Only the sound of a crying child. They met late one night in a quiet diner on the edge of the city. They're scared, Elliott said. That means we're close. Keanu looked around the booth. We keep going, whatever happens. Rachel took a deep breath. We have a plan. The state's attorney agreed to move forward under one condition. What? Anna asked. Someone has to testify publicly. Someone respected. Someone they can't tear apart in court. They all turned toward Keanu. He paused, then nodded. I'll do it. The trial began on a Monday. The courtroom was packed. News cameras waited outside, but no one was allowed to record inside. Senator Corwin sat with his lawyers, calm, collected. In a suit that cost more than most people made in a month, Rachel began her opening statements. She didn't shout. She didn't dramatize. She simply showed the timeline, the money trail, the children. Then she played one of the testimonies. A boy named Marcus, now 17. He came to our school. He said he was a donor. He gave out backpacks. Then, months later, kids started going missing. I saw him again in a photo with the man who hurt us. The courtroom went silent. And then it was Keanu's turn. He walked to the stand. No cameras, no script, just truth. I've been followed most of my life, he began. But I've never followed someone the way I followed Elliott when he was arrested. I thought it was a mistake, but it wasn't. It was a message, a warning. And now we're here because he refused to stay quiet, and because these kids deserve better. He told them everything about the storage unit, the letters, the day Emily was found, the truth no one wanted to believe. And when he finished, the judge was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Continue. Outside, the world was watching. News broke in every country. Headlines filled the airwaves. Child trafficking ring linked to Senator Corwin. Keanu Reeves involved in investigation. Hero pilot helped rescue dozens disappeared and returned. With shocking evidence, survivors speak out after years in silence. But with the truth came danger. One of the shelters housing a witness was attacked with smoke grenades. No injuries. But the message was clear. We need federal protection. Anna said, not just for the kids, for all of us. Rachel pulled strings. Within hours, U.S. Marshals were assigned to every key witness. The compound in Montana was secured, and Corwin's offshore accounts were frozen. But still, they waited for the verdict. On the final day, Elliott stood outside the courthouse, staring at the sky. You think it'll change anything? He asked. Keanu joined him. I think one person noticing something can start a chain reaction. And that's what you did. We did. Elliott said. And then the phone rang. Rachel answered. Her voice didn't waver. The jury's in. We're going back in. Inside the courtroom, the judge read the verdict. On all counts guilty. Corwin's face stayed cold. He didn't blink. But the room around him erupted in quiet gasps and sobs. Outside, people hugged. One woman dropped to her knees and whispered. Finally, Keanu didn't say much. He just stood beside Elliott and watched as the weight lifted. If only a little. But deep down, they knew this wasn't the end. Corwin was just one face, and the fire still burned in places unseen. The light beyond the storm sun rose slowly over Washington, painting gold across the courthouse steps. A new day, a new chapter. But for Keanu, Elliott, Anna, and Rachel, the silence of mourning held more weight than any headline. The trial was over. Senator Dean Corwin had been found guilty on all charges: human trafficking, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and financial corruption. It was a historic moment. But it didn't feel like victory. Not completely. Too many names would never be called in court. Too many children were never found. Keanu stood at the edge of the reflecting pool, watching the water ripple in the breeze. Elliott walked up behind him, a soft limp still in his step. How does it feel? Keanu asked. Elliott took a moment before answering. Like something ended, but something bigger just started. Keanu nodded. You think they'll come back? They never left, Elliott said quietly. But now they know we're watching. In the days after the verdict, media coverage exploded. International news networks ran profiles on Elliott Cain. Newspapers praised the anonymous storage unit that had hidden years of truth. Hashtags trended around the world. Hashtag Invisible Guardian. Hashtag Justice for Children. Hashtag Truth in Boxes. Rachel gave carefully crafted interviews, never exposing the children, never seeking fame. Anna declined all public attention. She returned to her quiet work, now with more funding and more eyes behind her. Keanu, though, found himself pulled into the spotlight. People wanted statements. They wanted speeches, but what he did instead surprised everyone. He started a foundation. It was called the Elliott Project. The mission was simple: support and protect overlooked victims of trafficking, and empower whistleblowers who risk everything to speak up. The foundation's logo? A paper plane, drawn from one of the children's letters found in the storage unit. Keanu didn't just fund it, he worked in it. Meetings, travel, private visits to shelters, anonymous donations. He spoke to survivors and made sure they were heard. But he also kept something private, something sacred. He returned to the storage unit in Tacoma. It was a gray afternoon when he and Elliott unlocked Unit 117 for the last time. Dust still lingered in the air. The boxes were mostly gone, now archived and preserved securely elsewhere. But a few personal things remained. A faded photograph of a girl hugging her teddy bear, a folded paper plane made by a boy in Utah, and a notebook Elliott hadn't touched since the day they found him. Keanu looked around. This place started it all. This place saved lives, Elliott said, even if it was never meant to. Keanu walked to the corner where he'd once sat, overwhelmed by what they discovered. He crouched and placed a small plaque on the wall. For words engraved in quiet metal, truth doesn't need permission. They locked the door one last time. Months passed. Then a year. The world moved on, as it always does. News scandals filled the airwaves, new faces on magazine covers. But deep under that noise, something grew. A quiet network of survivors. Young people who found each other through the foundation, who shared their stories anonymously, who began helping. Others, one of them was Emily, the girl found in the Montana compound. She was now 10. Her eyes brighter than they had ever been. Keanu kept in touch with her foster family, sent her books, music, and once, a letter that simply said, "You are the bravest person I've ever met." She wrote back, "You helped me believe the world can change. Now I want to help others too." Keanu didn't return to acting for a long time. He traveled instead. Quiet cities, broken towns, rescue homes where no one recognized him. He listened to people who had no one else. And slowly, something inside him began to heal too. He thought about his own past, the losses, the loneliness, the nights spent wondering why the world could be so cruel. But now he knew. He wasn't alone in the dark, and sometimes, just noticing someone was the beginning of rescue. One evening, he sat by a lake with Elliott. No cameras, no news, just two men who had seen too much and stayed standing. "You ever wonder if we did enough?" Keanu asked. Elliott took a deep breath. "I used to. And now, Elliott said. I realize we didn't come here to finish it. We came here to light something that others will carry forward." Keanu smiled. Then a message pinged on Elliott's phone. He glanced at it and handed it to Keanu. A new tip. A name, a location. "A child reported missing 2 weeks ago." Keanu stared at it. Then looked up. "Let's go." And without another word, they walked toward the Jeep. The sun had just set, but the stars were beginning to show. And somewhere out there, someone was still waiting to be found.